Hello, everyone out there. Best Elder from Save Women's Sports. Here I have an amazing gift, some time with Taylor Silverman. She's an amazing skateboarder who has been speaking out after recently being affected by a male competing in female skateboarding. That's right, female skateboarding. We've seen it in wrestling. We've seen it in golf. We've seen it in track with Miss Selena here. Oops. And it's all over the world. It's all levels of sports. And I'm so grateful that she could give us some time here and let us know what her experience has been. Taylor, how are you doing? You've been doing a lot of media. You holding up?
Hi, Beth. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on the channel. It's an honor to talk to you. And thank you for the work that you've been doing to get this message out and preserve women's sports for athletes like myself.
I'm grateful that it has helped create a platform for women like you to speak up. And I know it's not just me, it's women like Selena and Linda and everyone here. Over the last few years, we've really come together, and it's so awesome to see women like you have the courage to speak up, because there's really nothing to be scared of except losing our rights. Isn't that true?
Yeah, I think that speaking up was really scary, but I actually gained a lot more support than I did backlash or hate. So I'm really glad that I did speak up, and I have a lot of female athletes reaching out to me who have gone through the same thing, who are grateful and who also want their voice heard. So
that's awesome.
I'm really happy I said something.
Yeah, well, we are too. And I'm sure there are many more women. You will be making waves for generations to come with what you have done in speaking up, and just encourage more and more. And give them my email. We'll get them on here the next time around. And you said you felt a little fearful about speaking up. Why do you think more women aren't speaking up, or just more people in general? Because it's not just women in this fight. There are a lot of men involved in women's sports, organizing, officiating, etc. So really, we need everyone to speak up. Why do you think more people aren't?
I think that people remain silent out of fear. They don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. They don't want to possibly be blacklisted in their communities or not be able to participate in the sport that they love anymore. They don't want to lose their job, lose their friends, be labeled as hateful or transphobic, when all they're trying to do is advocate for fairness in women's sports. So there's a lot of reasons, along with the backlash and harassment that people can face for saying something about this, like what I faced on my Instagram.
And what did you face? For those who aren't aware, I'll put a little clip in here. We'll pause and put Taylor's Instagram in for everyone to read her, quote, coming out post, I suppose we could call it. What really happened? I think Twitter is one of the main places we see harassment from. Did you get other harassment too?
So at the time that I posted the post sharing my story, I only had Instagram. I made my Twitter a few days afterwards to keep up with some of the madness.
That's right. Okay.
But I immediately, within minutes, lost probably like 100 followers on Instagram and started receiving hateful posts and being tagged in hateful images.
Were these people from your community of skateboarding or friends in general?
Some of them are people that I know and people in the skateboarding community. A lot of them are people I do not know and people who are not involved in skateboarding or sports at all. But there's so much comments on the posts. They're hateful that I can't even manage them, and they're nonstop. They're still going till today. And along with
I hope you've kept a lot of them on here so that people can see and reported some. Anything. And I'll put a link in the description below for those who want to head over there and jump to Taylor's defense.
Yeah, and the other thing that made me very nervous to speak up is just being on social media. As a Jewish woman, I've received a lot of anti-Semitic messages and hate in the past just for existing on social media. So I knew this would put a major target on my back for that. And there was a lot of anti-Semitism being thrown at my page, and so many hateful messages and comments that you can still see. I didn't delete them either. I think that people deserve to see. And I hope that one day maybe the people who wrote them will think about deleting them. But that was scary, knowing that there was also that factor involved.
Oh, yeah, that brings a whole nother level to it. And good on you. You are brave indeed. And I really hope your courage calls to courage in others. That's awesome. Well, leading on to that, I want to know, do you feel supported? Yeah, there's been some harassment, but have you felt that support, and has it outweighed it? Has it been worthwhile for you?
Yeah. So when I first posted on Instagram, for the first hour or two, it was all hate, but then it got shared by several people with bigger followings, and immediately it flipped to more support than hate. So I've been reached out to with hundreds of thousands of messages, with just letters of support, and people telling me they're praying for me, people thanking me on behalf of their children that they know are going to grow up and be
I bet
affected
those
by
people
this.
are all ages, both sexes, all religions, all political backgrounds too, right?
Yes, and people from all over the world. It was mind-blowing to
Beautiful.
see just how many people have heard my story. And unfortunately, I can't respond to every single message.
Right. And I know people
I don't have
know
enough
that,
time,
Taylor. They know that you've just been through it lately, and they're just grateful to have a way to connect to you, to say thanks.
Right. And I have had time to scroll through some of them, and reading them has been really helpful and helped alleviate some of the anxiety associated.
She's feeling the love, everybody. Send her some more.
Thank you so much to
and
everybody.
that's what we should be doing for all women, like Selena Soul, who's one of the first women here to start speaking up. It's we need to get that support system, so you keep going, and you need to feel the love so that your battery doesn't get drained out, so you feel like doing more media and doing more things. And we hope to have Taylor coming up in some special events coming up soon, so stay tuned on that. What is your advice for other people that are kind of thinking about speaking out?
Well, I would say I completely understand if you don't want to speak out, because I have received so much backlash and hate. If you Google my name, there are pages and pages of articles about me, and there are photos all over the internet of me. So I understand if you don't want to deal with that and you don't want to speak out, but doing so, I have gained so much more support than hate. And I feel like the more people who use their voices, who feel like they're in positions who can, the better, because this is something that's going to impact the next generation of female athletes in a major way. And I don't want to see that happen.
It's the beginning of the destruction. Yeah.
If you're scared, just know so was I. It was very scary, but being brave is not being fearless. It's doing something even though you're scared. So just know there will be people who support you when you speak up. And for the people who don't support you, there will be many more who do. And perhaps some of the people who will say hateful things, you're better off not having in your life anyway.
Ooh, she went there. Yes, thank you. And know that it is just a vocal minority. It's only a small fraction of like mostly techie friendly people. So they build these sites and these pages to make it look like there's so many more people that hate on you than there really is because the support does far outweigh the opposition. And I found when I started speaking out, it was a weight off my shoulders because I saw this destruction of women's rights and I felt like I had to do something. I couldn't just sit back and not say anything. And so I think you find like once you cross that line and start speaking up, it is far worth the little bit of words that get thrown at you, because that's really all it is the end is some words being thrown at you. When you know who you are and you know your truth, that's all that matters. And that's where we are, Taylor. We're speaking in the truth. We're doing what is right, and we're going to protect future generations. Like you said, it's going to carry on to the next generation. And if we don't step up and if they don't step up, it's going to be gone, in my opinion. It will not take long before women's sports will be erased. We'll go from women's to co-eds to just men's sports because men will dominate in a co-ed field. I mean, we all know what's going on here. And it's just a matter of time. And I'm so grateful that you were able to find the courage to speak up and you have this faith that helped drive you. I hope everyone can grab a bit of passion from wherever they can to really, I mean, now is the time. If we do not start speaking up, we have laws left and right across the world that are erasing the rights of women and girls. And it's time to step up. And I'm calling out to not just athletes, coaches, anyone, fathers of athletes, mothers of athletes. It's time for everyone to speak up and do what's right. One other thing that we haven't touched on was sponsorships. You called out to Red Bull, who was a sponsor of the event so we didn't even really get into your story. So you got robbed by a title. Can we just jump in there? And you tried to reach out to Red Bull, and what happened with that?
So the contest was the Red Bull Cornerstone contest, and they have a female division. And one thing that I thought was really cool about this contest going into it is that they offer the same prize money for the female division as the male division. So I was actually thinking equality. This is going to be great. I'm really excited to be participating in this. So I actually heard about the contest in my home state of Michigan, where I traveled to the city of Detroit to qualify. I qualified in first place there. And then I was invited to go to Lincoln, Nebraska, to another skate park to do the finals. And I was asked to participate in the qualifier in Lincoln, Nebraska as well. So the day before the finals, I did the qualifier there, and I placed first in that qualifier as well. But in both the qualifiers that I participated in, the trans competitor did not participate. They had been participating in qualifiers in different cities. So it wasn't until the day of the finals that I was made aware that this person would be competing in our division. So the day of the finals, I had a pretty good idea of what was going to happen before it happened. And some of my friends told me, I think you won anyway. But I told them, I don't think so. And I think that even if I did, this still wouldn't be right. But I ended up getting second place. So the trans competitor between the finals, first place prize, the qualifiers they did, and the women's best trick prize got $5,000 of the women's prize money. And then I received for my qualifier prize and my second place prize, $2,750. So my paycheck was cut pretty significantly. And the girl who got third place received $750. So she lost out on $1,000 since the qualifier money was $500 for each first place. And then the second place prize was actually $1,750. There's so many numbers to talk about. But whoever would have gotten third place had the trans competitor not been involved would have lost $750, and whoever would have gotten best trick lost $1,000. So I remained silent after this happened and during, because I was very uncomfortable and I was scared. And
yeah, you're almost in a state of shock, right? Like most others that are coming up to this, they kind of come out of nowhere. You maybe hear some whispers of them competing, but then it's like all of a sudden, boom, they're at your contest. What do you do?
Yeah,
no one blames you for taking a moment to figure things out and to process.
Yeah, so it actually took a few months of me kind of having discussions privately with people in my life and asking for advice from other people who had spoken about this, doing a lot of research into women who have already spoken up and research into how trans people felt about this. And I learned that this actually isn't the opinion of all trans people that trans women should compete in women's sports. There's a lot of trans people who agree that it's unfair.
Correct. Yeah.
So talking to more people who are on my side, who came from all different walks of life.
Again, it's just that vocal minority that is just screaming at everyone, listen to me, trans women are women, it's fair.
Right. But hearing those other stories, listening to other people use their voice inspired me to say something. And where I started was by reaching out to Eric at Red Bull. He was one of the contest organizers who had been giving me all the information throughout organizing this process of traveling and everything. So I sent him the email that you can see posted on my Instagram page. And I basically explained to him, look, like, the trans competitor is a biological male and they took $5,000 of the women's prize money. I think this was really unfair and I want to talk to you about it. So email me back and let's schedule a time to talk. And I didn't hear from Eric. I didn't receive any email response from Eric. So
shame on you, Eric, at Red Bull.
I finally reached a point last week where I was feeling so guilty for not speaking up, because I felt like somebody needed to do something and I'd been put in this position and I didn't want to be in this position, but I'm really the type of person that, you know, when I see something unjust, I feel like I need to say something.
Say something.
Sitting in silence for months was not very comfortable for me. It was very upsetting. I was going through depression for a lot of the time. And immediately, like you said, when I spoke up, although I was receiving a lot of hate as well, I felt a huge weight off my shoulders. It was a major relief. And my big fear the whole time, and that I think was reinforced by when I first reached out to Red Bull, was that my voice didn't matter and that I wasn't going to be heard. But I've learned over the past week that my voice does matter and people are listening.
We sure are. And your voice really does matter. And it is going to help us save women's sports. I used to think we were on a marathon, and now I think we're on a 10K, but we're closing in on the last few miles of this battle. And the more women and people that speak up like you, the faster the finish line is going to approach. And it's just a shame that more people can't step up and do what is right. But we've also, we're living in this like cancel culture society where it's just a toxic environment that you have to kind of put on your blinders and wade through all that and see that speaking the truth just feels so good. And there is a space, and that's why we started Safe Women's Sports, that hopefully create a space for people to feel safe in speaking up. And here you are. So I have come full circle, and it's a great thing that we can all get together and from all different backgrounds, from all different ages, different sports, girls to elite, we all deserve the same protections of fairness and safety and privacy. And thank you so much for your time. Do you have any closing comments for anyone out there, Taylor?
I think another thing that's really important that some people might not realize is this is bigger than skateboarding. This is something that I felt the obligation to speak up about, not just because it's affecting skateboarding, but because I see it across the board. And this is something that's also impacting girls who are involved in contact sports, even things like martial arts and boxing. And I think that this creates some urgency for us to do something about it now before we see women potentially.
Well, definitely. I mean, we have studies that show that females are at higher risk of concussion injuries. And so we're seeing it on the soccer field, lacrosse, all these different sports where there could be contact and head injuries. And not only that, but I think of their poor legs with our hip angles and our knees are different. It all just gets affected differently. And one other thing that now I thought of that we should touch on is the money factor. We were talking about all those different numbers earlier and who won what money, but it makes a huge difference. A couple $1,000s might not be a lot to one person, but to these gals skateboarding, it's the world, because they're not normally sponsored. If they get sponsored, you get some wheels and a board, I'm assuming, kind of like it is in cycling. You're paying your way to get to these events. It's a passion. It's not something that you're living off of normally, or very few of you are. So I think that's very key, that these few spots that get taken off by males, one is too many, and one is impacting more than one woman in more than one way.
Definitely. And I think that that's a big reason why people are listening to my story, is because they're understanding that this financially impacted people. But even when money isn't involved, even in lower levels, whether it's, in school, in amateur sports, professional, whatever, this isn't fair to girls and women. Girls and women deserve a place to compete in a fair way. Sports are
all
so
ages, and
important.
especially
Like,
those young women that don't have a voice yet or don't feel like they have a voice, or in the United States here, well, and across the world, basically have been indoctrinated into either being nice or accepting this as truth, that you can change your sex. And we all need to step up and be examples for them and speak the truth. It's kind of like the tale, The Emperor's New Clothes, if you're familiar with that. It's we're the ones pointing out that the emperor is naked right now. It's just a matter of time until everyone else does.
Yeah. And I feel like this could have a really severe impact on the next generation of girls if they don't get to feel that empowerment that participating in sports growing up gives you. Because before I skateboarded, I played other sports, like more organized sports. And I became more interested in skateboarding because I liked that it was so independent. You could do it whatever way you wanted. You didn't have a coach telling you what you had to do every day.
And it helps you give building blocks for life, right?
Right. And whatever sport it is that you become passionate about, it helps shape the person you become. It helps build your confidence, and it teaches you so many life skills that have nothing to do with sports. So sports are very important, and
exactly,
having the opportunity to win in sports and compete in a fair way in sports is also really important for young girls and for adults too, but especially for young girls who are going to be impacted by this.
Statistics in the United States that over 90% of our CEOs and government officials who are female have competed in sports. It gives us the building blocks. And I know for me, I didn't find a real passion for sports until later on when I hit powerlifting, and I got so passionate about it because powerlifting helped me connect with my body again and get over PTSD from abuse. And also I was having some real female issues. I was having some miscarriages, and it really helped me reconnect with and love my body again and learn how powerful we can be inside and out. And when we strengthen our body on the outside, we get stronger on the inside. And then we can be like Taylor and me, speaking out, powerful, and making change, because that's what we're doing. We are making change, Taylor. Save Women's Sports in just a couple of years has managed to get laws passed. We have an international coalition, and we will win. Simple as that.
I'm really excited to work together with you on this, and to do more events in the future, and to have this discussion now, because you've been an inspiration to me too, seeing you speak about this, because you're one of the first people to say something. And it was scary for me to say something, even after seeing a few other people speak up. So I can't imagine what it's been like and the kind of hate and backlash that you've received. I've only received a week of it, and I know that you've been having people target you for much longer.
It's quite a roller coaster, and now I'm under legal threat even. So it's a crazy world we're living in, but we all have to step up and do what is right again. And that's what we're doing. A woman is a woman. We can't change sex, and it's not fair for males to compete in female sports. So here we are. Together, we will save women's sports. Taylor, thanks for having me on the team. Everyone out there, get connected, savewomensports.com, and stay tuned in the following weeks. We're going to be celebrating Title IX's 50th anniversary, and we're going to have some awesome guests on board. So stay tuned and like and subscribe. Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much, Beth, for having me.